In the heart of the American Industrial Revolution, amidst the booming steel mills of Pennsylvania, a pivotal movement in labor history unfolded, the Homestead Strike of 1892. This violent clash between the mighty Carnegie Steel Company, a symbol of industrial power, and its unionized workers marked a turning point in the struggle for workers' rights. The seeds of the Homestead Strike were sown in the economic turmoil of the late 19th century. Carnegie Steel, facing financial difficulties due to overproduction and a declining market, announced wage cuts for its workers in Homestead, Pennsylvania. This decision, met with outrage and resentment by workers who were already struggling to make ends meet, sparked the formation of the Amalgamated Association of Iron and Steel Workers, also known as AA. Newly formed union determined to protect the rights of its members and fight for fair wages and working conditions became the driving force behind the strike. The AA called for a strike on June 30th, 1892, and the workers refused to work under the new terms. The company, determined to break the strike and maintain control over its workforce, hired the Pinkerton National Detective Agency. Notorious for its use of violence and intimidation tactics against striking workers, on July 6, 1892, a barge carrying 300 Pinkerton detectives arrived in Homestead. Their presence ignited a tense standoff with armed strikers. This arrival marked a significant escalation in the conflict and set the stage for violence that would soon follow. A fierce gunfight erupted between the strikers and the Pinkertons, leaving several casualties on both sides. The Pinkertons, unprepared for the resistance they encountered, were ultimately forced to retreat after several hours of battle. However, the violence had only begun. The strike escalated into a weeks-long lockout, with clashes between workers and the company's private security forces becoming commonplace. The Homestead Lockout, as it became to be known, transformed the town into a battleground, showcasing the brutality and desperation that labor disputes could lead to. Despite their determination and resilience, the workers were ultimately defeated. The company refused to recognize the AA and reinstate the workers with their previous wages and conditions. Exhausted and facing dwindling resources, the workers were forced to return to work under the terms of the wage cut, marking a bitter end to their struggle.
The Homestead strike only lasted a little over 4 months, but many of its effects lasted until the start of World War I over 26 years later. Of the groups involved in the conflicts, only one really won, the big guys at the top, with the founder of the Carnegie Steel Company, Andrew Carnegie, passing on with a net worth what would come to be equivalent to over $309 billion in today's money. Meanwhile, the Pinkerton Detective Agency, which before this had been the nation's first and largest paramilitary force, was not only decimated by striking steelworkers, but also brought the idea of a paramilitary force to prevalent members of the legal system, thus creating a legal stigma against other such forces. Additionally, unionization in the steelworking industry was completely stomped out until World War I, when the importance of the steelworkers finally surged, giving them the power to unionize once more. Until then, however, workers had no choice but to go back to their jobs, slaving away for 12 hours a day for less than 14 cents an hour. The Homestead strike serves as a sobering reminder that life isn't always like the movies, but that even so, somewhere down the line, there may yet be light at the